My class starts in another 5 hours and 45 minutes, and I haven't slept yet because yesterday's video is rendering, and then I would have to upload it, and then I can go to bed. These geese are here all the time. I'm convinced they're starting a cult. You think I'm joking? I am not. They're literally everywhere. Rule of threes. I'm now done with showing you geese. So, I just finished the first class, and I'm just glad that the class ended like 30 minutes early, because I'm now heading down towards the complete opposite side of campus to go to Aniket's apartment, because David, Aniket, and I are meeting there to talk about that big idea. So hopefully, depending on what the meeting is like, I may tell you what it's about today. So I guess it's finally time for me to tell you what my super secret project's all about. So what is this new idea? I'm gonna try and keep this as one take as possible, because I've done this a couple times. My battery failed last time on me, and this is probably gonna be the longest video I make, because I'm very excited to talk about this. The reason I think this will work the way it does is because it comes in 3 different prongs, and it has 3 different factors to it that mixes everything up together. It'll make sense in just a second. The first point comes from early European cinema, like early 1900 cinema. Now, cinema in the 1900s was very new. It had people like my boy Méliès. No, Méliès was active in the 1800s? No, 1900, 1902. Trip to the Moon was 1902, I'm positive. Méliès made a lot of movies. And fuck, no, this is not about Méliès. Why am I I can talk about Méliès a lot. I'm not gonna talk about Méliès right now. But let me tell you, I am all over the place. I'm just so happy and excited to share this with you. So let's start from the very beginning. There are 3 prongs to why I feel this will work, and 3 different things that I'm trying to combine that has never been combined before. Well, it might have, and I don't know. But the point is, I'm combining things that are very interesting and integral to film history and media history. The first prong is European cinema, early European cinema. I'm talking European cinema in the early 1910s. There was a movie called Ingeborg Holm by a director named Victor Sjöström, which basically popularized the idea of deep staging. What deep staging is this idea that you have the foreground, middle ground, and background visible. Something like what Orson Welles or Cecil B. DeMille does in Citizen Kane. You have the foreground, background, and middle ground visible at all times. And that can be traced back to Ingeborg Holm. A friend of mine has this theory that every movie can be traced back to Ingeborg Holm, which I completely agree with. I might have to look into that more, but I agree with it so far, because every movie can be traced back to Ingeborg Holm. So, along with Ingeborg Holm came these French movies called Fantomas. The first of these movies was released in 1911, and the last of these movies was released in 1963. 52 years. These series of movies were popular. Think about what if Marvel movies are popular for 52 years. I am gonna basically be very sad if Marvel movies are popular for another 52 years. But anyway, and that's Fantomas. But the entire idea of Fantomas is you have a deviant, a criminal who's a master of disguise, a criminal genius, going through this giant depth of field stages, this giant deep staging. So they basically filled a lot of people in a frame. And as an audience member, we were trying to find Fantomas at the exact same time as the police in that location. And so when we would find Fantomas, Fantomas would run away, and the police would try and catch him, but they would never catch him. And that's the whole appeal of Fantomas, which is very interesting because it has to do with the deviant. I want to write a paper on the deviant and why a lot of people's first movies are about deviants, because almost always the first movie anyone ever makes is about a deviant, is about a criminal of some kind or some criminal activity, which I think is very interesting to look into. I want to write a paper on it. And that was the entire idea of Fantomas. Giving the audience the ability to be like, oh, let me search around the frame and find what I need to find and find the information that I need to find. And it was so popular. Everybody wanted to watch it. It wasn't good movies, but it was popular. Marvel! So, yeah. Actually, I should say superhero. DC movies aren't that great either. Although, I would sell out if someone was like, hey, direct a Flash movie. I would totally sell out. But anyway, that's Fantomas. Ooh, my battery's running low. Running low. Boom. Problem solved. So that's Fantomas. And it's the idea of, hey, people want to be able to look into the frame and be be an active participant in the media. Second thing comes from Sleep No More. Sleep No More, as far as I understand it, I need to go watch it because it sounds like something that's right up my alley. Sleep No More is basically this house that you go into, or a place like a house that you go into, with different rooms, and each room has a different scene from Macbeth playing. How people have described it to me is it's very abstract, but it's gory, and I really want to watch it for myself. So I've stayed away from the exact depictions of it. So that's basically Sleep No More, and so as a result, when you go in there and you go through different doors, what you see and what you experience is your experience, and it's your story. It's your own interpretation of what you saw, which I think is fascinating and just beautiful. That's the second part. And it also, that's the second part. The third part comes from the idea that everyone likes to be involved in the media that's being produced. They want to be a part of the media. And why I say this is for two reasons. First of which comes all the way back in 1950s. Television was first becoming a thing in the 1950s, and the entire concept of television was, hey, why go to the theaters? You can watch stuff on your TV. As a result, theaters started to lose money, and they started to invent technologies like the CinemaScope, 3D. 3D was invented in 1952 with a movie called House of Wax. Which is another topic for another day, because I don't like 3D movies on a 2D screen, because I think they're just stupid and unnecessary. But anyway, so that was the whole concept behind and that was the whole concept behind CinemaScope. The idea of, oh shoot, people are sitting at home instead of coming to theaters, how do we earn more money? By having them come to the theaters, because some studios owned the theaters at the time, or was this after the thing? I don't know. For the longest time, a cinema was a studio was vertically integrated, so they handled the distribution rights. They handled where the movies were shown. They control theaters. They control ticket sales, so it made money everywhere. For the longest time. So people were like, oh shoot, we gotta get people to come back into theaters. How do we do that? And so they launched their own version of IMAX called CinemaScope. Again, IMAX is just CinemaScope, but with a different name. And so that was CinemaScope. And it was advertised as this thing that was like, oh look, you're gonna be part of this. You're gonna be watching the movies bigger than ever, and you're gonna be a part of the movies. You're gonna feel like you're in this universe. So there is this concept of, we have the incessant need to be immersed in this universe, and you could see this. You can legitimately see it. Like a lot of YouTubers that are their personalities instead of their content are more popular than people who are just their content. Like, if I just started a new YouTube channel and just started posting my films, it wouldn't get as much traction as if I started a YouTube channel and I myself was in front of a camera and started talking. Because it's always... people like being a part of something. People think that, oh, this person is laying bare in front of us, so we are part of this life, and we're part of this universe. We all love doing this. And using that concept further, evolving that concept, is interactive media. Things like Bandersnatch, which is not original, by the way. Minecraft Story Mode and Puss in Boots, the interactive choose-your-own-adventure film, were already things on Netflix before Bandersnatch. It's not original. Nothing's in this world is original. Everything's stolen. Art is theft. But it takes that, and interactive media takes that thing to the next level. Takes the idea of, hey, we're part of this bigger universe, to the next level, which is the level of, oh, I can choose where the story goes, I can decide where things are going, which I think is beautiful. And those are my 3 prongs. Fantomas, the idea of, like, looking around and being basically the protagonist of the movie and being one with the protagonist. Sleep No More, the idea of every single experience is your own experience, and the idea of, I can choose where the story goes. And so I decided, with these 3 concepts in mind, to make a certain type of VR movies. These will be live-action films, which are choose-your-own-adventure, and you can walk through the world. In an ideal world, you should be able to traverse the world of the movie. You should be able to look what's behind that bush right in front of you, see if the deviant's hiding under there, or whatever. You should be able to do that. You're an active participant in this world of the film. And that's the idea that we're working on. The concept of you basically teleport into this other reality where you're someone else. You're someone who's not you in this reality. So if you are natural human, normal human being, in my movies, you'd even be a superhero. And you have the freedom to choose what to do. But here's the thing, unlike a lot of Telltale games, or what I saw from Puss in Boots' interactive movie, it doesn't pause in the middle and go, hey, what do you want to choose? Instead, our idea will be focused more on, how do you make that choice seamless? How do you make it almost like you're in a completely different reality, but at the same time it's a movie. You're experiencing a story, even though you're the protagonist. And so your story is different from everyone else's story. What you do is different from what everyone else does. Of course, you can watch the movie again and again and choose different things, but you're doing something new. You're doing something that only you can do, and you're experiencing a whole new story, which I think is great. And it's very untapped. You have movies in virtual reality like Back to the Moon, which is a fantastic film, and Pearl, which is again a really good film. And the whole concept of these movies are, look, you're just watching a movie in VR, which is great. Those are great movies. But they're playing around with this concept of, oh, look, we're now behind you, we're now in front of you, and so on, which I don't think is the perfect usage of this concept called virtual reality. The idea of you being a part of the movie is, I think, more valuable than you going, oh, look, story's happening. You get to choose the story, even though I've written it, even though people I know have written it. It's the illusion of you get to choose your story, which, to an extent, you do. So it's almost like a video game, but in a film, which is... So yeah, that's what the idea is all about. And why tell you now? Because the 3 of us, Aniket, David, and I, we sat down and we talked about it. Aniket and David are basically the technology people in our team. So my film guys will come in later, starting tomorrow. But Aniket and David are basically the technology guys. They're there to try and figure out how we're going to do this, how we're going to put all this together. and that's why they're there. Um, and they basically told me that we don't have to come up with a new piece of technology for this. As a result, it's unpatentable. You can't patent it. But what we're going to do is we're going to try and get started on this as soon as we can so that we have proof of concepts ready before we can move ahead with anything, so I can rightfully say, yes, we created this. Before I leave today, though, I wanna tell you all directly. School started today, as you all know. As a result, today it's like 9. It's almost 10 p.m. And this was the only time I could find today to film because my class went on until my last class went till 9:30. No, way longer than that. No, shorter. I think my last class ended at 9. I don't know. I just walked back and then I started filming. I lost track of time, but. But that's the point, right? Most of I don't have that much time within my day when these classes are going on, so these videos may not be daily for long. So if I miss something, if I miss a day, don't be surprised. I will try and make this as frequent as possible. If I find out that I'm not able to do this daily on a daily basis because school is more important, then this might end up being weekly. But I can't promise anything. I will still try and upload as much as I can, because I like making content for YouTube. I've missed making content for YouTube. It's great because the entire idea of this is I want to test my skills, which is fantastic. And I will keep you guys updated on this and all the other different projects that we're working on. So yeah, that was the big idea. I'll see you guys later.